You just got a promotion. Your salary jumped from $65,000 to $85,000. That's a $20,000 raise. You should feel rich, right? Except 3 months later, you're still checking your bank account before buying groceries. You're still stressed about unexpected expenses. You somehow have less money now than you did before the raise. What the hell is going on? Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody talks about. Making more money doesn't make you feel less broke. It just changes what you're broke from. And the psychological trap that keeps you feeling poor regardless of your income is one of the most studied phenomena in behavioral economics. Let me show you exactly what's happening to your money and why it feels like you never have enough. The lifestyle inflation death spiral. Here's what actually happened with that $20,000 raise. Before taxes, it looked massive. After taxes, it's maybe $1,200 extra per month. And within weeks, that money was already gone. Not stolen, not wasted, just absorbed into your new normal. You moved to a nicer apartment because you could finally afford it. That's $400 more per month. You upgraded your car because the old one was embarrassing in the company parking lot. That's another $300 in payments and insurance. You started eating out more because you're too tired to cook and you deserve it after working hard. That's $200. You upgraded your wardrobe because your old clothes didn't match your new position. That's $150 on credit card payments. Add it up and you've spent $1,050 of your $1,200 raise. You have $150 left, which gets eaten by the premium gym membership, the better coffee, and the streaming services you added because why not? You make good money now. Research from the Federal Reserve shows that for every dollar increase in income, the average American increases their spending by 90 cents within the first year. Your raise didn't make you wealthier. It just gave you permission to spend more. And now you're locked into higher fixed costs that you can't easily reduce. The comparison trap scales with income. Here's the psychological minefield nobody warns you about. When you made $45,000, you compared yourself to other people making $45,000. Your reference group was people with similar incomes, similar apartments, similar cars. And you felt relatively okay about where you stood. But the moment you started making $85,000, your comparison group shifted. Now you're hanging out with people who make $100,000 or $150,000. You're noticing what they drive, where they vacation, what they wear. And suddenly your $85,000 doesn't feel like enough because everyone around you has more. Studies on relative income and happiness consistently show that people care less about their absolute income and more about their income relative to their peers. Someone making $75,000 in a peer group making $60,000 feels wealthier than someone making $100,000 in a peer group making $150,000. The actual dollar amount matters less than your position in the hierarchy. This is why high earners in expensive cities often feel broke. A software engineer making $180,000 in San Francisco feels poorer than a teacher making $55,000 in rural Ohio. The San Francisco engineer is surrounded by people making $300,000 who own homes and take European vacations. The teacher in Ohio is doing better than most people in their community. Same psychological mechanism, completely different subjective experience. Fixed costs lock you into feeling broke. Here's where the good money trap becomes inescapable. Every lifestyle upgrade you make creates a new fixed cost that's incredibly hard to reduce. That nicer apartment? You signed a lease. That car payment? You're locked in for 6 years. That private school for your kid? You can't just pull them out mid-year. Research on consumption patterns shows that people are remarkably good at increasing their spending, but terrible at decreasing it. Economists call this consumption ratcheting. Your lifestyle ratchets up easily, but almost never ratchets down. Once you've experienced the nicer apartment, going back to the old one feels like failure. Once you've driven the newer car, the old car feels inadequate. This creates a psychological trap where you feel poor even though objectively you're making good money. You can't reduce your expenses without feeling like you're moving backward in life. But you also can't save money because all your income is already allocated to your elevated lifestyle. You're stuck in what researchers call a high-income, low-liquidity situation. The emergency expense reality check. Here's the test that reveals whether you actually have money or just make money. An unexpected $2,000 expense hits. The transmission in your car dies. Your dog needs emergency surgery, your laptop breaks, and you need it for work. Can you cover it without panic? Federal Reserve data shows that 37% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing money or selling something. But here's what's shocking. That percentage doesn't drop as dramatically as you'd expect for higher earners. Research from the J.P. Morgan Chase Institute found that even households earning over $100,000 often have less than $5,000 in liquid savings. You're making good money, but you don't have money because every dollar is already allocated before it arrives. Your higher income just means higher fixed costs, not higher savings. The person making $55,000 and saving $500 per month has more financial security than the person making $95,000 and saving nothing. The psychological gap between income and wealth. Here's what most people fundamentally misunderstand. Income is what you make. Wealth is what you keep. And they're almost entirely independent variables. You can have high income and zero wealth. You can have moderate income and significant wealth. The determining factor isn't what comes in, it's what stays. Studies tracking millionaires consistently show that most of them never had six-figure incomes. They just maintained a large gap between their earnings and their spending for decades. Meanwhile, research on high-income professionals shows that doctors, lawyers, and executives often have negative net worth well into their careers because their spending scaled with their income. This is why you can make $120,000 and feel broke, while your friend making $70,000 seems financially comfortable. They're living on $50,000 and investing $20,000. You're living on $125,000 by financing the difference. Same stress level, completely different trajectories. The monthly payment mentality. Here's how the good money trap gets reinforced. Everything gets reframed as a monthly payment instead of a total cost. You don't think about buying a $60,000 car. You think about whether you can afford $850 per month. You don't think about a $500,000 house. You think about whether you can handle a $3,200 mortgage. Research on financial decision-making shows that people focus almost exclusively on monthly cash flow rather than total cost or net worth impact. The financial industry knows this and structures everything around monthly payments because it makes expensive things feel affordable. You're making good money so you can afford the $850 car payment, the $200 phone bill, the $150 in subscriptions, the $300 in installment plans for furniture and electronics. Each individual payment seems reasonable, but add them up and you're spending $1,500 per month on payments for things that aren't building wealth. That's $18,000 per year that could be invested, but instead goes to financing consumption. The invisible lifestyle creep. Here's the insidious part about feeling broke on good money. You don't make one big decision to blow your budget. You make 1,000 tiny decisions that each seem insignificant but compound into financial stress. You order delivery instead of cooking because you're tired. That's $25 instead of $8. You Uber instead of taking the train because it's raining. That's $18 instead of $3. You buy the premium version because you deserve it. That's $60 instead of $35. Each decision feels minor in the moment, but behavioral research shows these micro decisions add up to hundreds or thousands per month. The person making $50,000 doesn't make these micro upgrades because they can't afford to. They cook at home, take the train, buy the basic version. The person making $90,000 makes these convenience purchases constantly because they feel like they can afford it. But these decisions are exactly why the higher earner often has less money at the end of the month. The social pressure multiplier. When you make more money, social expectations change. Your friends want to go to nicer restaurants. Your family expects better gifts. Your colleagues judge you for driving an older car. The social pressure to spend increases in direct proportion to your income and often exceeds it. Research on social spending shows that people making over $75,000 spend significantly more on social activities and gifts than lower earners, not because they're more generous, but because the social expectations are higher. You can't suggest Chipotle when your colleagues are going to the steakhouse. You can't give the same Christmas gifts you gave when you made half your current salary. This social pressure creates a ratchet effect on spending that has nothing to do with your actual needs or wants. You're spending to maintain your position in your social hierarchy, not because the spending improves your life. And that spending is why you feel broke despite making good money. The future cost of present comfort. Here's what kills me about the good money but broke phenomenon. Every dollar spent on lifestyle inflation is a dollar that's not compounding. The opportunity cost is staggering but invisible. That $400 apartment upgrade costs $4,800 per year. Over 10 years, invested at 8% returns, that's $70,000. The $300 car payment upgrade costs $3,600 per year, which becomes $52,000 over 10 years. The $200 in convenience spending costs $2,400 per year, or $35,000 over 10 years. You've traded $157,000 in future wealth for marginal improvements in present comfort. Research on temporal discounting shows that humans are terrible at valuing future rewards compared to present rewards. The apartment upgrade feels good today. The $70,000 you're giving up feels abstract and far away. But that $70,000 is real money that would actually exist if you made different choices today. The income illusion. Here's the fundamental psychological trap. Your brain processes income as wealth even though they're completely different things. When you get a raise, you feel wealthier even though your actual net worth hasn't changed. That feeling of wealth triggers spending that eliminates any potential for actual wealth building. Studies on financial behavior show that people who receive raises spend them almost immediately, while people who build wealth through appreciation of existing assets are more likely to preserve it. A $20,000 raise feels like free money to spend. A $20,000 increase in investment value feels like something to protect. This is why lottery winners often end up broke. The income feels infinite, so spending feels justified. But income is just a flow. Wealth is a stock. And confusing the two is how people end up making $150,000 and feeling poorer than when they made $60,000. What actually changes this? The solution to feeling broke on good money isn't making more money. Research proves this conclusively. Studies tracking people who get significant raises show that most feel no better off financially 2 years later. It's because their spending scaled with their income. The solution is breaking the automatic link between income and spending. When you get a raise, your spending shouldn't increase at all. Every additional dollar should go to savings and investments until you've built actual wealth. Only then, maybe, do you consider modest lifestyle upgrades. Behavioral economists have found that people who automate their savings immediately after a raise, before they psychologically adjust to the higher income, are far more likely to actually build wealth. The money never enters their mental spending budget, so they never feel deprived of it. The uncomfortable reality. If you're making good money but feeling broke, the problem isn't your income. The problem is that your lifestyle has scaled to match or exceed your earnings. You're not actually broke. You're choosing to allocate every dollar to current consumption instead of future security. And here's the really uncomfortable part. You know this already. You know you could spend less. You know you're making choices that prioritize present comfort over future wealth. But acknowledging that means confronting the lifestyle you've built and the identity you've created around your income level. It's easier to say, I don't make enough, than to say, I'm choosing to spend everything I make on maintaining an appearance of success. But the second statement is usually the accurate one. Making good money should mean building wealth, having security, and eliminating financial stress. If it doesn't feel that way, the income isn't the problem. The gap between income and spending is the problem. And that gap is entirely within your control to change.